afternoon, everyone. I am Trupti Bandekar and I feel honored to be your compare for this occasion. Books have always been bridges between generations, cultures, and emotions. Today's book is one such bridge that brings alive a story deeply rooted in our social and cultural fabric. I would like to invite the author of the book, Ms. Vithai Zaraunker, to deliver the welcome address and introduce by Mauzo and contributors associated with this book.
Good afternoon, everyone. I think it's good day. Yeah, I'm here to introduce, but I think I will not make justice to this introduction because of time constraint. Okay, so I briefly introduce Bhai Mauzo. Bhai Mauzo is a short story writer, novelist, critic and scriptwriter who lives in Goa and writes in Konkani. We have Dr. Mozinha with us, Mozinha Fernandes, Assistant Professor in Sociology Program, DD Kosambi School of Social Sciences and Behavioral Studies, Goa University. We have Salil Chaturvedi, he is a writer, poet, disability campaigner based in Goa. His writings for children can be accessed at Story Weaver, the online platform, Pratham Books, and more recently he has been a curator of Serendipity Arts Festival, creating accessible environment for the festival and for the artists with disabilities. We have Asavari Gurav, visual artist, poet, performer, educator. She has completed her bachelor and masters from Baroda University, MS Baroda University, and she has exhibited across India and performed, and she has been a gold medalist and recipient of Purushottam Annual Merit Award for Printmaking in 2021. With this very short introduction, I welcome you all for this book launch and followed with discussion session, hoping to have insightful conversation with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you for those warm words, ma'am. Okay, so now we are distributing the books and the mementos to the guest. So I request ma'am to proceed with this. Give a round of applause.
Thank you.
This is for you, sir.
Oh, I had a good sleep today.
But you can be able to sleep only.
Oh, that's very cute, I feel.
Thank you.
That's to drink something before you sleep.
Yes, but yeah, not too bad.
Now one picture with the
Yeah. Okay, give a round of applause again. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Stories often live longer when they are heard and felt. To bring the spirit of Janakye Bai alive through performance, we now have a special song presentation for the audience.
Good day, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank the author of this book, Vithai, Zaraunker, for giving me this opportunity to speak and discuss about the book. The Story of Janakye Bai by Vithai Zaraunker, narration by Leelavati Zaraunker and Sita Vaiz, art by Ma'am Asavari Gurav, and translation by Sir Salil Chaturvedi. This book is wonderful compilation and combination of art, documentation of narratives and songs, and also translation. This book documents the folktale which was passed down from generation to generation, but due to certain stereotypes, these stories which create inferiority complex among and also the incidences of discrimination, the young indigenous people or the youngsters are not interested in these folk tales. And at this point, these books come to rescue, to restore or preserve these oral narratives, which will add the unique knowledge system of the indigenous people to their mainstream, which in turn will lead to the feeling of shared values and identity among the community members. That their cultural values are unique and powerful medium which tells their story to this world. The story of Janakye Bai revolves around indigenous society, where a woman, that is Janakye Bai, breaks the roots of the so-called patriarchal society, where women are supposed to be very obedient and are supposed to follow all the rules set by the society. The moment Janakye Bai hears the song from the cat, which is there in the book, that she is going to be married to her brother, she resists the system of incest. And to do this, the Matari Aji, a character in the book, helps her by giving the chandan seed. This whole narration of story is perfectly combined with art, songs, and words which are used by the indigenous people. For example, there are words in the book like coil, which was made of clay, and it was usually from a broken huge clay vessel used for various purposes in earlier times. When indigenous people use certain words which are used in this book, for example, nagn, which we usually call as lagna, people look down upon them. This book resists the misconceptions people have that indigenous people are backward, primitive, and show that these words which are used in this book are very much part of the Phillips vocabulary and their day-to-day existence. One unique feature of this book is visualization and translation. And if you scan the QR code given in the book, you can listen to these songs. The book depicts the reality that this folktale is the knowledge system which are preserved by women, and we can call women here as preservers of knowledge. The story about Janakye Bai's refusal to submit to incest, her moral courage and agency. This book speaks speaks about divine justice and protection, an alternative vision of marriage rooted in cosmic harmony. Janakye Bai understands that incest is morally wrong. That's why she sings the songs in the book, like "My mother will be my mother-in-law." However, in her society, there is no one to protect her. The community remains silent or is bound by fear of patriarchy. Feeling helpless but not defeated, Janakye Bai turns to nature and the divine. She prays to the moon god, a powerful celestial figure in indigenous belief system, which are associated with protection, moral order, cycles of life, and witnessing human truth from above. This book also talks about female agency and moral courage. Janakye Bai is not passive. She recognizes injustice. She refuses submission and actively seeks help. Her strength is moral and emotional, which is powerful enough to move the moon god. Janakye Bai turns to nature, showing how tribal culture see nature as compassionate and moral. Janakye Bai's movement from earth to sky suggests liberation, transcendence, and moral victory. Her marriage to moon god is symbolic. It restores her dignity, removes her from danger, and places her beyond patriarchal control. The indigenous people are in close contact with nature. Their belief system is so rich, and this knowledge should be valued. Indigenous people not only should be givers of knowledge to others, but should now be the knowledge producers, as the writer is in this book. Being an insider to the community member can get details of each and every aspects of life of the people, which in this book, Miss Vithai has documented. In one folktale, she has visualized various aspects of tribal society, and imagine if more of these oral narratives are documented, we can have literature, which is literature or documentation of indigenous culture by indigenous people themselves. This book sets an example that indigenous people can also write and document their own culture. This book, if you read, it tells you various aspects of indigenous life of the people. So I request everyone to purchase this book and read this book. So that's it from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Fernandes, for your insights on this book. The use of local language and songs adds depth and authenticity to the story, making it culturally rooted and emotionally engaging. So once again, we'll have the special song presentation for the audience.
गाये कटे बुकुरा गरे
So this narration is done by Leelavati, Zaraunker and Sita, Vaiz, who are not present here, but once again we'll give a round of applause for them. Okay. So moving on. Behind every illustrated book lies a creative journey of imagination, research and artistic expression. To share this, I invite Miss Asavari Gurav.
Hello. Okay. So the illustrations of the book, it's mostly the cover page came later than the illustrations, but it's very important for me because the connection to the moon god is the lover, as well as so many other things, and it's also like there's this feeling of night sky, dawn. It is an entry point into the universe of the book. So let's move on. Yeah. So this is us at ICG. Me, then that's Professor Kyoko, Salil, and Vithai. So it was Professor Kyoko who reached out to me and asked me whether I would be up for this, and I was interested because she's coming from Konan University in Japan. It was a tie-up between Japan University and Goa University, and this felt like a extremely exciting thing to do. As well as I had worked in the past with folk tales. I've been interested in literature and responding to that, but illustrations was not something which was my forte, so I'm more of an artist. Next. Then, this is the process of making. Mahesh over there, who we were at his brand new office and discussing the layouts and what to do. And it's a very important process in itself because आधा किताब तो उधर ही हो जाता है, like, kind of doing that together, and also sketchbooks, like, and thanks to Salil, because Salil was also not just in translation, but also putting things together. He believed that, okay, this is going to look nice. Don't worry, this is going to look nice. So thanks to you. Next. So I also did a field trip to Kankol and and it was very important because to go there, like the images from the book, the story basically, what kind of universe that story needed references. So I just didn't want to imagine, I also wanted to experience what I'm seeing, the field, the trees, the landscape, so everything I was drawing from. So it was more like a research, it was not just my creativity, but it was more of a commission project. Next. Oh, the animals are not visible, but it's okay, can you see? Yeah, next. So things which I had in my mind, nature is magic. Okay, whatever is happening, everything has life to it. You can't just deny the fact that moon god, the power of moon or the power of Chandan. So everything is part of the story as characters. Then the visual drama. So it's the images. So the cat illustration, which we'll get to, has a comic element, a comic book element, and there are different emotions. So storytelling and visualizing aesthetic. So as I said, referential and rooted, like trying my best to meet at the vision of what the author wanted and trying to be at par with that. And the Vedic community and heritage, perception in oral tradition. So how do you perceive oral tradition? When you perceive the way they are singing, it touches you at a different level. It's storytelling, it's emotion. But how can you can't completely document everything. Some things will be lost. But then that attempt should be made, honestly. So next. So this is the beginning where the brother finds a strand of the Janakye Bai and says that I want to marry this person with this hair, which is very bizarre. But I wanted to highlight that moment. And the so the fish is also visible. It's going towards a direction. So you're looking at movement also and color as well. Next. And these are the initial images of Janakye Bai. I was trying to visualize how would she look. Like, would she have the longest hair? Would she be like Rapunzel? Would she be like what? So would she look a little like Vithai? What would she look like? I'm kidding. I did not think of that. It's just like nervous. But yeah, the bulls again, the shade again. So these did not be a part of the book, but I'm just showing you. Next. Then these two images. So she's on the chandan tree with that intensity of, you can't, defeat me. You can't make me marry my brother, and I'm there. And also that lady, which does not come in the illustrated book. These both images are not there. So she's holding the pot. She's also pregnant, and she's looking at the sauri, the shadow, and she's like, what is this? This doesn't look like me. And she says, oh, that's Janakye Bai on the chandan tree. So things like that. Next. So these again did not be part of the book, but these are like, I would draw quite a lot, and then from that I would pick out things and then arrange. So this is again she being pulled by the moon god and the whole sort of image in the landscape. Next.
Why didn't we use that?
Next book. And this is what went to the book, like just a little bit of it. So I draw, then I abstract from it. I know it sounds like, why didn't you use this? But it's okay. We are image makers, so whatever is best suitable for the work, we go for it. Next. And this is Janakye Bai on the chandan tree, which is in the book. Next. This is the cat. So this is the cat I found at the place where I site visit. And I know it must be like, why are you taking reference of a cat? But no, I did. And the comic element. So it's just, I know it's a very intense story, but there are these moments of satire and comic and tragic which needs to be captured in the work. So this is another work which did not go in the story. The grandmother and the cat. Next. Matari Aji. And this is the Matari Aji which goes. Again, from the references which I and Vithai spoke about, I thought, okay, why not try this as a character? And yeah, someone who's more connected to the plants and nature. Next. This is Vithai, Vithai's mother, Sita and Leelavati, and that's me at the corner over there. I hope you can see me. I'm sitting in front of them, drawing a live sketch. I'm listening to them tell me the story, sing, and also that is when I realized I asked them questions also, and then they told me why the story was made. No, it's to tell the kids, the next generation, or tell stories, and it was really nice. I felt like I was at home, and I really like the fish curry rice also. Also, they were both very warm, and the fact that Janakye Bai on the cover page, you'll notice there's golden hair. So that fact that Bhangra ke sachi asati was very interesting for me. So that's how the fascination for this gold hair and the whole story, the premise of it. Next. So that's the, it's in the book. Leelavati and Sita, both of them. Sita, in fact, wore a new sari just to sit in front of me. So I was very honored. Yeah. Next. So these are the pots, matkyo. And titun, they used rice paste to make the drawings. And the mat, why am I showing the picture? It's here only. Next. So this is what went into the book. Some of the, it talks about the objects and things which were used. Next. I'm running out of time. Okay, next. Yeah, these images were there. Next. So she misses her home and thinks about where she belongs and things like that. Next. This is also didn't go, but is a part of the process of making. Next. And I end with the, cartoon mein jo hota hai, aise ends with that kind of the ending. So it's a comic tragic ending of the brother with charcoal. So yeah, read the story so you would get a better sense of it.
Thank you, Ms. Gurav. Your artworks further enhance the narrative by conveying emotions that go beyond the succinct writing of the text. Furthermore, I invite the translator of this story, Mr. Salil Chaturvedi, to address us because his translation becomes an important accomplishment in giving voice to those who have been silenced for years.
Thank you. So, just for some context, this project began almost a decade ago when Vithai went around collecting oral stories from her tribe in Kankon, the Velip tribe. And I was sort of peripherally associated with that process through late Professor Alito Sequeira, who was a good friend and also Vithai's mentor and teacher. So I was very interested in the stories, but I had no access to them because they were obviously recorded in Konkani. And so I was keenly waiting for some sort of translation to happen, but that never, it took a long time, so ultimately I had to kind of jump into the translation myself so I could figure out what the stories were saying. Why? A question that's asked a lot is, I could have understood the stories if they were in Konkani. I'm the translator after all. But the translation process is a slightly different one because I cannot translate from Konkani. I don't know Konkani that well. So, and especially the Konkani from the Velip tribe tends to be, it has so many words that even other Konkani speakers don't understand. So I had the privilege of sitting with Vithai, and over long sessions we would go through the stories. She would explain the cultural background, and there were also some songs in this which required a different approach. They have rhythms and cadences like you heard. So we took the route of a third language, which for me is Hindi. And for many of the sentences, or especially the songs, we would do a word-by-word translation of each word in Hindi, which then was translated for me into English. And so that's more or less the process, which was allowed me the opportunity to sit for long, hours with Vithai and learn a lot more about her cultural scape. That was something that I cherish a lot. And so that was largely the process, and I did see some other translations that were attempted by Konkani speakers, and it wasn't a tonality that I knew how I wanted the story to be, how it needed to be told in English. A folk tale which needed to be told in a certain way, as you will find out when you read. So I could see that the translation wasn't headed that way. So even if they had come to me later as an English as an editor or something, I would have still worked on them because I felt the story needed a certain tonality. So that was largely the process, and I'm happy to later, if you want to know more about any of the process, share more with you.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Your translation helps the story of resilience to reach a wider range of audience. So now I invite the author of this book, Ms. Vithai Zaraunker, to share her thoughts.
Okay, thank you for being here. Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for this opportunity. So this book did not begin as a book. It began as a documentation project back in 2014. undertaken for Sangeet Natak Academy, New Delhi, with the aim of recording stories from Velip community of Goa. This project was continuously guided by my mentor, Professor Alito Siqueira, and what started as documentation gradually transformed into an intellectual and ethical engagement with question of voice, memory, representation, and justice. So this book is also an outcome of collaborative project, as mentioned earlier, with Professor Kyoko Matsukawa from Konan University, Japan. Now, before speaking about the book itself, I believe that it is important to locate myself. I'm currently working as an assistant professor with Women's Studies program, Goa University. At the same time, I'm also a member of Velip community. My academic work, therefore, cannot be separated from my lived experiences. Growing up, I faced discrimination within educational institutions because of my language, my social background, my community identity, and I was repeatedly made feel that the way my community spoke, dressed, or lived was inferior, often labeled as primitive, backward, or uncultured. Like many individuals from my marginalized communities, I learned very early how to hide my identity, how to remain silent, how to blend in order to survive within educational institution. It was only during my postgraduate studies, when I was introduced to concepts like othering, Orientalism, I began to understand that these experiences were not personal failures. Rather, they were outcome of dominant forms of knowledge production that construct certain identities as inferior. This understanding marked a turning point in my life. It pushed me to look back at my own community, not with shame, but with curiosity, responsibility, and respect. I began to recognize the community not as a subject lacking knowledge, but as a community rich with its own system of wisdom, values, and lived experiences, lived histories. In this context, I find Linda Smith's words. She says, research is one of the dirtiest words in the indigenous world's vocabulary. This observation resonates deeply with my experience and with the way indigenous and marginalized communities have been studied, often through dominant frameworks. Much of this research has failed to engage ethically with people's real struggle or contribute meaningfully to social justice for the communities. Therefore, in the words of Linda Smith, researching back and disrupting the rules of research that are more respectful, ethical rather than racist, casteist, and exploitative research. This book is my attempt to resist such approaches. It is an effort to rethink research practices, to move away from exploitative and hierarchical models and towards the forms of scholarships that are ethical, accountable, and grounded in lived realities. As Linda Smith reminds us, the past are stories, local as well as global. The present are communities, a culture, language, and social practices. All may be species of marginalization, but at the same time, they have also become species of resistance and hope. The story of Janakye Bai directly challenges the dominant portrayal of Velip community as silent, merely passive and voiceless. We are not voiceless, we are not silent. What exists is a failure of dominant scholarships to listen, a failure of academic system to take our narratives. This leads me to some critical questions that guided this work. Why have stories like Janakye Bai never appeared in scholarly writings on the community? Why such narratives remain confined within the community, even though the community itself has been extensively researched? Why are stories of exploitation absent from academic records? And why have stories of resistance consistently not been recognized? Why knowledge is dismissed merely saying that it is a folktale? So, Janakye Bai's story disrupts these silences. It foregrounds lived experiences, agency and resistance, and demands that we rethink whose knowledge counts. This book is not merely a documentation of one woman's story, it is a political intervention. It is an assertion that communities are not object of study, but they are producers of knowledge. And it is an invitation to academia to listen to these narratives carefully, respectfully. While this is the first, there are several other stories that we have translated, and hopefully it will appear in book form and expand and deepen the voice of the community. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your thoughts. And thus, this has compelled me to share my book review, which I was supposed to do at Goa University. I'm sorry, Mauzo, that I'm sharing my book review. I know we are running short of time, but I'm I want to share this. It's okay, I want to. Okay. So I'll just read few lines from this book review. So, furthermore, when the moon god asked Janakye Bai, in what form would you like to visit your home? Janakye Bai's choice to return to earth as a Mar speaks volumes. It highlights that the marginalized community is not ashamed of their identity, rather it's a society that compels them to feel ashamed of it. And I feel that this story presents a positive portrayal of marginalized communities, because unlike many narratives that focus predominantly on exploitations, this story foregrounds resistance with a marginalized women who challenges both caste and patriarchy despite being doubly marginalized. And in this way, the narrative breaks dominant oppressive structures. And now I would like to invite Bhai Damodar Mauzo to share his reflections on the story of Janakye Bai.
I thought I don't have to speak. No. I mean, time is out, but then I'll just conclude by saying they do deserve congratulations and compliments for the hard work they are putting. I'm happy that more works are going to be produced of this kind. It's a tribute to their professor, Alito Sequeira. Alito Sequeira was a very good friend of ours. Unfortunately, he is no more because of his untimely death. But he was a professor of sociology, and I am very happy they have instilled the right values among the students. And I congratulate the entire team, including Asavari, who have contributed richly to this project. It's a collective product, and so everybody deserves congratulations. And in fact, this has raised the right question. Because I work in Konkani and I have spent so many years learning different dialects of Konkani. Dialects, every language has different dialects. And no dialect is mean, because it is the dialects which enrich the language, mainstream language. The word mainstream, like Stalin Kire the other day said, there should be one center point, then only there are people on the margins. Why should we imagine that way? We all are part of the central language. But like tributaries that meet the river, it is the dialects that enrich the main language. I will not call it mainstream language, of course, it's a term used widely. पण तुमकां सगळ्यांक हांव परबी दिता की एक बरो प्रोजेक्ट तुमी घेतला आनी हो प्रोजेक्ट सगळ्या कडेन पावपा जाय. Not only, don't restrict it to the university, take it to every taluka. Every taluka has problems. You have highlighted some problems from Kanakon taluka. Similarly, we have different problems, different kinds of problems in other areas like Pedne, Sattari. I'm very happy that Prakash is not here. Prakash Parikar has written so much, and he has brought in the entire Sattari dialect in mainstream Konkani. So you are doing the same thing. We are the mainstream writers, I use the same again term, that we learn from you. people like you. When you start writing, it is the language that gets enriched. So once again, I congratulate the entire team, and they are very cool.
Thank you, Bai Mauzo, for sharing those inspiring words. And now the floor is open for the audience for discussion. Maybe we can take one question, one or two questions. Anyone?
And both questions can be answered.
Brunilda.
Tina.
This is the
maybe
last
to the two of you, that is Vithai and Asavari. I don't know, I haven't read the book, so I'm just asking because we are talking of nature, moon god, this, that. But there's also the element of labor of the tribal community that preserves nature. So I didn't see that labor part coming in, because, very often people romanticize that, there's this green and etc. But there's a certain labor, green or whatever, nature in whatever in terms of resources, that they don't plunder the resources. Like the Vaiz, the person, I'm sure she's the the person who takes who the local mendicant, is that a word? I can't get the word exactly. The person who provides the medicines locally, I can't find. Voice. So I'm saying that they're all playing a part in preserving, because they don't plunder. They take from the hill, as you know, but they don't plunder, as against pharmaceutical companies which plunder. So there's a certain culture in the tribal community and the labor. So I'm just wondering whether that figures in the story. Or
Apparently this has not reflected in this story, but of course it is a part of tribal culture, preserving and protecting the nature. So
Okay, we'll definitely find in the
Actually, तिथून पाय असा आणि सोपा असा, and also this chatai. So time was running out, so I just showed the images and ran through it. That matka, so all the pot, okay, and the rice paste drawing. So I did not talk about it, and it has smaller details. So buy the book, read it, and you'll see the image connection. Okay, once you see, I don't have to explain everything to you. You come to the book, you read the book, you feel the book, and then we can talk.
By the way, just Tina mentioned it. This morning, Estherine came to me and gave me precious gift from the hills of Nagaland. She gave me this vanaspati. It's a medicinal. I don't know the name, and she told me it is called Ketsaga in that language. So we have to. I'll take it home.
Yeah.
No, it's not this. But anyway. Yes.
And I think with this we end this session here. Thank you all for your presence and participation. Have a wonderful day ahead.